On today's episode, we decided to change things up a little bit again. Today we will be going over some of the most unique and bizarre looking vessels that have come and gone across the Great Lakes shipping history. Join me today as I go over a little bit of their brief history and what made them special and unique to the Great Lakes. Let's begin. The Helena was a wooden bulk freighter, and she was built in 1883 for the Milwaukee Tug Boat Line of Milwaukee. She would be equipped with 4 masts, and she would also have 2 stacks with her triple expansion steam engine. The Helena had a length of 275 feet. She had a width of 40 and a depth of 20. She also had a gross registered tonnage of 2,083 tons. The Helena would sail out of Milwaukee for Stark and Meyer until 1901. This would be until her home port would shift to Sandusky after her purchase by the Gilchrist Transportation Company. In the year 1903, her port of registry would then change again, and this time becoming Cleveland. In that same year, the Helena again was purchased by the Armour Grain Company. This is where we get to the odd-looking structure aboard her. The Helena's new owners would make a very drastic design change aboard her. This is also one of the only changes that would happen to the Helena. What you see aboard her is actually a grain elevator structure. This was built on her deck, and her 2 stacks were replaced by a single one. The way this drying elevator would work is that heaters and fans would be installed on its deck. The equipment would then take in wet grain, dry it, and then deposit it back onto the ship's deck. From there, with the grain on the deck, the grain would then be transferred to shoreside elevators once the ship would reach her port destination. To unload the grain from the Helena, first a marine leg, or a large wooden or metal arm known as a marine leg, would be lowered into the ship's hold. Then, the leg, which housed a continuous belt with attached buckets, this would scoop the loose grain from the bottom of the hold out of her. The belt would continue to elevate the grain to the top of the elevator, where it was then deposited onto horizontal conveyors. From there, the conveyors with the grain was moved into large wooden storage bins, or silos, later elevators, and they would use gravity and spouts for distribution. The Helena had a very good service career, and most of her service was in the Chicago area. However, she would occasionally take longer trips away from there. It was in fact on one of these later voyages and longer ones that she would become stranded on a reef in Lake Erie on September 17th of 1918. No lives were lost, however, she was abandoned after she sunk on these reefs and settled on the bottom. The Helena is without a doubt considered a one-of-a-kind floating grain elevator, a very unique and bizarre vessel that has come and gone on the Great Lakes. The next vessel on our list for unique and bizarre-looking vessels on the Great Lakes would be that of the car ferry Huron. Launched on June 3, 1875, the Huron was quite unique-looking. She was built by John Smith of Port Edward, Ontario. She had a length of 238 feet, a width of 53 feet, and a depth of 12. She also had a gross registered tonnage of 1,052 tons. Later, on April 12, 1901, in the Huron's career, she actually struck a boulder on the bottom of the Detroit River. Throughout the Huron's long, successful, good career, she would actually be retired from service, and then she would actually sink and be abandoned by a slip off the Detroit River sometime around 1981. Today, the Huron car ferry is actually still where she was abandoned and sank. She is submerged in a slip off the Detroit River in the same location actually where the Edmund Fitzgerald was launched, and her remains are the longest surviving railroad car ferry on the Great Lakes. What a spectacle that would be to go and see today. Now, it wouldn't be right in ending this video without mentioning some of the most unique and bizarre looking vessels across the Great Lakes, and you probably already guessed that, of the whaleback. Today's whaleback is actually a little different than the other ones that we're used to seeing. This being of the Alexander McDougall, hence her name is also after her creator, Alexander McDougall. This vessel was built by the American Steel Barge Company in West Superior, Wisconsin. She had a length of 413 feet, a width of 50, and a depth of 22. She also had a gross registered tonnage of 3,686 tons, and she came equipped with a quadruple expansion engine. What made the Alexander McDougall stand out from her sister ships in part, over 47 of them, would be that of her design change. The Alexander McDougall actually had significant design changes which improved her greatly. That being of the traditional spoon-shaped bows on the other vessels, the Alexander McDougall would ditch that and put in place a more traditional-looking bow in front of her. This helped her greatly in unloading equipment. However, she too would still suffer from rough seas that would wash over her decks, and no crew member would dare try to walk from bow to stern without fear of being washed overboard. Slowly but surely, the whalebacks would begin to disappear across the Great Lakes. They would disappear from either collisions and sinkings or being traded in for newer vessels. The Alexander McDougall in particular was cut up for scrap by the Steel Company of Canada in 1946. However, today you can still see one of the last remaining whalebacks ever, that of the Meteor in Superior, Wisconsin. I do hope to go visit that one day myself, but we'll see until then. Well, thank you guys, and that ends that last vessel on the list. This was just a shorter video, but there are quite a lot of unique and bizarre looking vessels that I've come across in my studies. But this episode is considered a bit of a test run. If you guys liked these 3 unique vessels, that's what I just kept it to, 3 of them. I could have done many more, but I wanted to see what you guys think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed these 3 and would like to see me do future episodes on unique looking ships, I will do so. If you were bored with this and want me to get back to shipwreck stories, which I will, let me know as well. But yeah, for this episode, it's just a bit shorter, and consider it a test run for these 3 vessels. But I did want to talk about them, as I think it's quite interesting, just how different they look, and especially the Helena with that massive grain elevator aboard her. And yeah, I've seen her picture a few times, and I've always wondered what on earth is that thing aboard her. And yeah, that's what it was, for drying grain. So quite interesting. I enjoy this different history that I'm doing a little bit here for the channel. But yeah, we will see what happens for the next episode. I may or may not get back to telling shipwreck stories or do one more different thing. We'll see what I'm feeling. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this episode and learned something new, or have any other side comments or interesting history that you guys want to bring forward, let me know. Also, as always, I welcome all the corrections and pronunciations. I am not a grammar perfectionist, but I do try. I really do. And you know, many people can have different ways of saying certain words or places or ships, but hey, I always try. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. I thank you guys so very much for your support, and again, the merchandise is officially open, the merchandise website. I will put the link to the website in the or in the description section, and if you feel like you want to get something, check it out. If not, hey, I appreciate you guys supporting me and pushing me to do that. We'll see how long I keep up with merchandise. It may only be a limited time, but for now, check it out, and thank you guys so very much for your support. So to end this video, as always, God bless you all, and see you again on the next episode of Songs of the Great Lakes.